Please welcome to the stage. You see, the session is called, right? You see, it's "We Know How You Were Hacked." It's pretty provocative. Let's please welcome to the stage to tell us what he means by that, Igor Seletskiy, CEO and founder of Imunify Security. Please come to the stage.
Hello, everyone. We started Imunify 360 a few years ago. We kind of thought we know what we're getting into. We didn't. But we thought we did. So we knew the technologies that hackers use. We knew what they're after. We knew some of the hackers. We had a lot of security experience. We knew we're going to fight a moving target. We just didn't realize how moving the target will be. But from the day one, our goal was to stay one step ahead. All we needed to do is to be a little bit ahead of the hacker. We didn't need to protect everything. We just needed to stop most of the attacks. I think we did a lot of that. We delivered on that. We're continuing doing that. But in hosting, in security especially, things change. And they change extremely fast. So when we started, majority of attacks were pretty simple. They would just come in from one IP. They would start brute forcing you or do some kind of attacks, and it would be fairly successful. We introduced CAPTCHA. It would block most of those attacks. Fast forward 2 years to now, and only a small percentage of attacks can be blocked by CAPTCHA. It's basically no longer works. They use CAPTCHA anti-gate to bypass CAPTCHA. They emulate JavaScript using various JavaScript emulators. Whatever we throw to them, they will skip it, they will bypass it, and they do it quite well. We're actually stopping to use IP reputation as well. So before you can realize that this is a bad IP, this is a good IP. Today, most attacks come from carrier-grade net. They come from anonymous proxy. They come from VPN. They come from DHCP. The IP reputation changes in a matter of minutes. Sometimes it's 15, sometimes it's 5. We see bad and good traffic coming from the same IP at the same time. Luckily, it's going to a different servers right now, but still it makes it much more difficult to say, this is a bad IP, block it on all the servers. It no longer works. We're stopping doing that pretty much completely. Malware didn't change. I mean, we see significantly less crypto miners. If 2 years ago, everyone, we have a crypto miner, we have a crypto miner. Today, no one cares about crypto miners anymore. But otherwise, malware didn't change. Same obfuscation techniques. Some of them are new, but it's a new obfuscation. It's the same technique. Same way to do things, same way to attack things, same attempts to spam or infect someone else. Nothing really interesting. A lot of backdoors. A majority of the times when hackers get in, they will do some malicious payload that does some harm, plus they will inject backdoor. And I guess they didn't have to change. We're still doing quite bad job detecting the malware. And for example, if you use Maldat or ClamIV, you're missing pretty much all the malware. I'm not saying you're missing some. I really mean you're missing most of it. If we onboard a new customer, like install Imunify 360 on their servers and run the scan, we find tons of malware. We find malware that's been on their servers for years, and they never realized it. They're very stealthy. They're very sneaky. They will have multiple files injected. They will have backdoors, multiple backdoors. So sometimes you think you cleaned it out. You didn't. We actually released Imunify IV, which is free. So if you want to see just how bad ClamIV is, deploy it on your server, run it. You'll find a lot of interesting stuff. attacks are also the same. That's another thing, is that attacks are not changing. So they're using the same way to get in. It's mostly brute force, it's exploits in some particular software. Neither the way to hide those attacks changed, encodings didn't change, nothing really changed. The only thing they did change is that they're no longer coming from the same IP. They're hiding the IP. If you're gonna block the IP, they're gonna go with the same attack from a different IP, and they will cycle through ranges of IPs and find ones that you're not blocking. But otherwise, once again, we're not doing a good job stopping attacks, and we as an industry have to do better. Brute force attacks are actually very ineffective. And I'm not talking millions, we're talking about hundreds of millions of brute force attempts to get a single password. We don't see a lot of people actually getting in through brute force attacks, but I'm not trying to say that they're completely ineffective. Hackers do get some of your passwords, and at some point we kind of realized we don't know how hackers get into your system. We know we can find the malware, but we didn't know how they got it there in the first place. Was it FTP? Was it SSH? Was it PHP vulnerability? Did they know the password before? Did they have to brute force it? We didn't, and that's what we spent a lot of time on. We know how they got into your system today, and we know it precisely. So for example, we can tell you if they uploaded malware through FTP or SSH. We can differentiate between hacker uploading the malware or your customer uploading the malware. And it was a surprise for us, but there is quite a few customers who simply make a change to their local copy of the site and they upload the site to their website, and that's when we detect the malware. Their site locally was already infected, and they re-upload the malware each time they make a change to website. Now we can detect it. We know about it, but what we also realize that brute force don't deliver majority of passwords, or maybe those brute force attacks succeeded long before, but we see a lot of hackers getting in through FTP and uploading malware on the first try, meaning that there is no unsuccessful FTP logins. They log in, they upload one file or 3 files, they're all malicious, and they're out. We don't really know how they got their website, your customers' passwords. It may be that they bought it from dark web, and dark web got it through keyloggers. Maybe someone is running big brute force attacks and someone else is running injections, because they're coming from 2 completely distinct set of IPs. We really don't know. Maybe it's password reuse across multiple sites, and one site get all password disclosed. It's hard to say, but what we do know is when compromised account, when the hacker has the password to your compromised account, and we will send you an email that tells you that's the account, that's the file that was uploaded, change the password. So a lot of our customers are already getting those emails. More will be getting them. We're putting it into our dashboard so you will see it. And sometime later, we will actually automatically change the password and send the reset email to your customer, so you don't even have to be involved in this. If you think about it, as soon as you clean out the malware, and you can do it with Imunify 360, just a click to clean out all the malware from the account. As soon as you clean out the malware from the account and change the password, hackers cannot reinfect that account. You got rid of all the backdoors, they had the password, now they have to make hundreds of millions new brute force attempts to reset it, and hopefully your customer no longer uses 123 as a password. So it's a very strong way to protect the accounts, as long as you know that's how they got in. It's much, much harder once we're talking about PHP. I mean, with PHP, you actually have to know how they got in, what did they do, etc. And I know someone will tell you, oh, we can do a root cause analysis based on the logs, and we will tell you how they got in, and it was because of that software. No, they can't. I mean, your HTTP logs have only URLs and timestamps. Most of the attacks are done using HTTP post, meaning you don't have any parameters. You cannot just correlate the data because any busy sites, you will have a lot of those requests, a lot of URLs. Same URL is used for good and bad stuff. So if someone tells you they can detect how you were hacked based on HTTP logs, treat it as a politician campaign promise. They want to do it, but they know they're lying. So we had to develop a module for PHP to do that. It's part of our proactive defense, but it actually listens all the time for any file save operation. So anytime someone puts a file or changes a file on file system, or anytime someone executes something on your system, we will know about it. We will know how they did it, like exact exact PHP functions that was executed. We know some of the payload, so we save like at first 256 bytes of the payload. We save the file to which they're writing, and we save the sequence of PHP commands that were executed to inject it. So we will know the script that has been done. We know sequence of the commands that has been done. Our malware scanner will pick up the file. We know exactly what is going on and how things are injected. And the only thing we're missing is that we don't know what actual version of software you're running, because it's kind of important. So our next thing is to detect all the software, all the plugins, everything that your customers are running. We will tell you about it. We will tell you this customer is running old version of PHP, that's the vulnerabilities, they should upgrade, but we're not doing it for that. So what we found is that you really cannot do proactive defense rules or mod security rules that are protecting against anything and everything at the same time. You cannot do it generically. It's not one size fits all. You need to do it for specific applications, and you need to configure the mod security rules and proactive defense rules specific for each application. So we now can detect all the WordPress plugins, and I mean all the WordPress plugins, all the Joomla versions, and about 50 different open source software as well. We're adding more and more software. We're working with commercial vendors to get their software onboarded as well. We want to be able to detect and know exactly which software you're running. And the reason is that we believe that we need to personalize the rules for each and every site. We call it personalized security at massive scale. That's what we want to do. That's what hosting needs, because you cannot have a sysadmin configuring the rules for each site. It has to be personalized, and it has to be on massive scale. It has to be for everyone. So we will do presets that it will automatically configure rules for each and every site to make sure that if someone is running WordPress, they're not blocked by some Joomla rule. If you have a plugin that generates false positives for a particular proactive defense rule, we will not enable that rule on that site. It will all be automatic. It will all be done once the site is installed or anytime the site is changed. We will detect the change. We will detect new version of software. We will automatically reconfigure a rule set exactly for that site, exactly for that application. We will go one step further. We actually know, because of the blamer, we know exact sequence of PHP steps that were taken to inject the malware. So we will automatically generate for that site the blocking rule for proactive defense to stop this injection from ever happening again. So the rule will be automatically generated, stopping reinfections. You don't even have to upgrade the WordPress. Once they get in, it will be automatically cleaned out and automatically protected against future attacks. More than that, because we know all the sites that are running exactly the same software, we can move this row from one side to another side. And as soon as hackers can exploit new zero-day vulnerability in any software, we will automatically detect it, automatically generate the blocking rule, and propagate it across the site, creating instant immunity across the whole spectrum of our customers. We call it Project Zero. This is our goal for this year. We want to get to zero infection. Not all the time. We realize that it's impossible to get to zero infection on all the servers that we have Imunify on all the time. We cannot do it all the time. But we want to get some of the days where there is absolutely no infections at all on all our servers. For that, we need to get to single digits infections on daily basis, which means you will not see any infections on your servers for years. This is our goal for this year. I believe we can deliver it. We can do it. Thank you.